First, I wish to give praises for the record to the Most High Intelligence, honor to my ancestors, love to my mother, my family, and my queen. Much respect to the House of Consciousness, and big props to all who gather to seek truth. Brothers and sisters of Mu, or the metaphysical underground. Neshkaret, Hotep, peace. We definitely need it. Beloved brothers and sisters, I seem to be once again charged with bringing you the grim but predictable updates concerning the state of our fragile planetary home. My ongoing report over the last 20 years with a worn-out cliche. I told you so.
That's right.
I'm also reminded of what I said at the beginning of this year, that we are fast approaching the time when the teachers of light would no longer be able to appear in the open. So I find myself charged with the sad task of reminding my nationalist brothers and sisters once again, my right-hand warrior hand, that the study of metaphysics and metaphysical thinking was, is, and always will be one of the most vital components necessary to all of our collective strategies. For if it is not considered relevant, and you do not strive to raise the metaphysical IQ of our brothers and sisters, we will never acquire the mental and psycho-spiritual skills to meet and defeat an enemy that is light years ahead in arcane sciences. An enemy who just 3 weeks ago gave a profound demonstration in the use of weapons from a metaphysical arsenal that will surely be targeting the indigenous peoples of this planet. Now you may get your M16, but you damn sure get your laser as well. You may have your strategies for military. Make sure you know how to disappear. Because this war is on the metaphysical realm. And you're going to see it. Again, I told you so. A new era, what we have witnessed over the last few days, is the havoc rendered by metaphysical warfare. A new era in state-sponsored terrorism has been introduced to the American public in general, and black people in particular. Whites are not exempt, as many as us believe, trust me. The end times have officially commenced, and the American dream state is now a fully functional, wide-awake nightmare. Now, for the sake of time, today's offerings will be presented as two parts. Part one will be an in-depth review of the events that transpired over the last 18 days, to which I will include a tactical assessment and metaphysical overview. I will give you as much insight into the more ominous events surrounding this attack, while next week I will show how the scientists of the Jason Group have acquired the ability to utilize the energy of compressed time as a lethal and devastating weapon. Let me just say that again. The scientists of the Jason Group has now acquired the ability to utilize the energy in compressed time. We're going to get into that next week, the next time. Now, in all the confusion and madness, I recall brothers and sisters ringing me for advice on where to go and what to do as worsening conditions head our way. Where in this God-forsaken planet is safe? Well, as you are about to hear, if you stay in the U.S., it doesn't matter where you go. If you have a modicum of health and wealth, and investigate where the super rich are parking their dumbasses. Rockefeller, Rothschild. But as I said before, it don't really matter. Or as I've always told you, if you're black, no matter where you go, there you are. The tentacles of the Illuminati and the collateral chaos of World War III will reach you anyway. Brothers and sisters, Americans are extremely resolute about what they believe to be their freedom, but they are basically stupid. The American mentality is constructed like none other in the world, and the Illuminati know this, and according to their leadership, it must be broken. Thus, the ultimate purpose for 9/11, Oklahoma, Baghdad, and Katrina was to shock, traumatize, and exhaust the American mentality, to demoralize us so that we gladly surrender our humanity, our individuality, and our private sovereignty. The political powers of the city of London and Washington, coupled with the ecclesiastical powers of the Vatican, are on the warpath and are on schedule to subjugate, degrade, and enslave humanity through the tactical implementation and orchestration of chaos. Using internal unrest, economic instability, wars, sickness, starvation, diseases, depression, and now natural disasters. New Orleans became the staging ground to demonstrate their resolve in their ability to do the latter. One of the primary goals of this reptilian-minded shadow government is to force the American people to disassociate themselves from their national sovereignty, and in the case of diasporic Africans, from their indigenous sovereignty. This artificial disaster is in reality a perfectly timed strategic campaign to displace and or eliminate whole unwanted populations, what they refer to as the useless eaters. Not just black people, but all people, right? All humans, they deem unnecessary to the blueprint of the New World Order. What we are witnessing, brothers and sisters, are the first stages, the initial steps of a campaign of planetary re-engineering. This insidious plan officially began in earnest when we all heard the media define American victims of a natural disaster as refugees. Now, understand, this was no frivolous use of the word. The word refugee was used with a blatantly stated agenda in mind, just as the words looter and finder were juxtaposed to define and give substance to a conveyed idea. An artificially constructed perception using pictures to speak 1,000 words using 2. And we're going to get to the pictures, because what I'm going to lay down and what I'm going to show down are going to mix. That's going to drive home the point. My good brother, Heru, brother from out of Hawaii, who is a master decoder and astrologer, along with he is one of my very close advisors, so I'm not going to show him up, but I am going to blow him up. As well as Sister Myra L., who y'all better get to know real good. Get to know that sister, because when she disappears and you don't got your paperwork together, you are royally fucked. Now, you all got your priorities set back and forth, but that sister is giving a 13-week course on how to get your ass out of the system. So you better learn. Put your pennies together. That sister is putting the ark together, board by board. Now, my good brother, Brother Heru, conscious soul, he said to me something very ominous, and as we were speaking on the phone, he brought this to my attention. We knew why they put the word refugee, because we being Moors and sovereign and blah, blah, blah. it was understood how they use words in order to construct perception. But why did they plant this word into the traumatized mind of black American psyche right off? Why were there no longer Americans? To understand this, we must understand the true history of this continent and the original system of government that was usurped to become what it is today. In truth, we were never Americans.
Amen. Right?
This government never has been a government of the people, by the people, or for the people. At least, it hasn't been that perception for the last 75 years. The elitists who rule this country disdain the people. Their conversations about us are as conversations about livestock, common cattle. Any notion that we entertain about benevolent leadership from these elitist parasitic maggots is just as an elaborate farce to keep the lowlife content.
Right.
Their contempt for us was formalized by their implementation of a cancerous, life-sucking, energy-draining, parasitic, wealth-stealing system designed to totally enslave us and bring us to our knees, the Federal Reserve System.
Right.
From this piece of bogus legislation has sprung all of the bogus fiat statutes of commerce that has given the U.S. aristocracy the power and the tools to wage a covert war on us, a covert war on the unsuspecting masses of the planet. By using privately minted money and contracting ourselves into this system, giving our tacit consent to legitimize it, we've agreed to pay the owners of this private currency, this private illusion, our very life's blood, our very blood's DNA, by assigning, contracting, and adhering our children's children's children to an evil labyrinth of in-death, in perpetuity. We have in effect contracted our bodies and souls, and the bodies and souls of our children, to a permanent slave master. The American federal, or more precisely, the American feudal system, is now in its final stages of implementation. And you have to get ready for this. This is serious because on October 15th of this next month, this year, they will be signing the new Bankruptcy Act, which means they are turning everything you think you own to shit. They can come and take your house, move your ass,
Right?
for the common good.
Eminent domain?
Eminent domain. The problem is, you don't understand why they can move against you like this, because the history of how they have been mind-fucking us and taking our life's blood. In fact, you can go to the Tetragrammaton, Part 1. That I did with Brother Big Man. Tetragrammaton Part 1 gives you the basic understanding of how they ripped you off, how they took your soul from your body. The following is going to be implemented as a result of October 15th, what they refer to as the October surprise. 1. All property is now subject to confiscation. You may witness this now with the building of Ratner's Net Stadium in downtown Brooklyn. 2. All people claiming to be U.S. citizens. Let me say that again, because you don't know what that is. All people claiming to be U.S. citizens will eventually be subject to incarceration in debtors' concentration camps. There are over 600 facilities ready to receive populations of over 120,000 each. The largest camp is in Anchorage, Alaska. It holds 2 million. Brothers and sisters, are you understanding the gravity of our moment in time? Are we on the same page here? This is not, we're not playing a game trying to put together something to impress you. We're not trying to give you something so you can have a little tea table conversation. No. We want you to prepare.
Right.
Because you could go back to the 120 tapes I did over the last nearly 30 years, and you'll find one thread going right through it. Get ready for this day.
Right.
It's here.
Lockdown USA.
Lockdown USA. It's funny how 2020 hindsight is the clearest vision.
Right.
And we can't see in the front of us. Based on the hidden, incomprehensible laws, there are over 2.3 million laws written in the books. Who the hell will remember 2.3 million laws? Who writes 2.3 million laws? Unless they're about to shut your shit down. Based on the incomprehensible laws that govern our contractual agreements with the U.S. corporation, you may no longer claim any rights. 4. The new bankruptcy law will be signed into effect on October 15th. Legitimizes the policy of an eminent domain. All lands under the corporate or public jurisdiction of the U.S. is now no longer in Chapter 11, but is in Chapter 7, which means, if you understand how it goes, if you've ever been in Chapter 11, that's reorganizing the debt. For 75 years, they've been reorganizing your debt, and each time they reorganized it, they took something precious from you. They gave you a Social Security card and the Social Security system within the Federal Reserve System, the IRS, all that shit, in order to slowly erode and eat away at whatever substantial essence you have as a human being. What they have done, slowly but surely, they first took you and said, if you take this contract, you sign on as being responsible for the debt that was created at the creation of the U.S. states here. This country was founded in bankruptcy in 1789. It's been bankrupt. The United States is a corporation owned one time by King George II. Ben Franklin, George Washington, who is a distant relative of the aristocracy of England, all contracted you. The Revolutionary War was fought in order to contract each and every one of you to the system of bankruptcy. And you went for it. So every 70 years, a nation's debt is reorganized. So from 70 to 89, you keep going 70 years, 70 years, 70 years. The last reorganization was under Clinton. The G8 met over the last 6 months. And one of the founding members of the Federal Reserve System, an old cracker, about 97 years old, was sitting there amongst all the people he created. And everybody was scampering around. How are we going to reorganize the debt so that the people don't revolt? And he said, the old cracker just sitting there sleeping. Everybody said, well, Japan said, well, I'll buy more dollars. And, well, Russia said, well, then we'll just circulate the shit through this. And old man sat up and said, forget it. Let it crash. Let it crash. It's over. If you try to refinance the debt now, what you would do is make shit so fucked up for the people that they're gonna revolt. So you better put all your money over these last 50 years into the military-industrial complex, because you're gonna need it against these motherfuckers when they find out what you've been doing for the last 200 years. So now we were in chapter 11 for 200 years. Just this past, as we go into October 15th, we are now officially in chapter 7. They're calling in the markers. Chapter 7 means liquidation of all assets, which means kill all the motherfuckers that owe. Or lock them up in concentration camp for the cheap labor. Y'all don't really know what New Orleans was. All lands under the corporate public jurisdiction of the U.S. will be transferred to private corporate conglomerates in the final liquidation of all assets including we the sheeple, or those who still possess adhesion contracts with the corrupt state. And this fact is being reinforced and played out right in front of the American public, where the media was under orders to give a preview of what former and potentially sovereign people should expect to be defined as in a system of the New World Order. Refugees, you no longer have a home. And today the majority of peoples of African descent haven't the vaguest fucking clue as to what is really in store for them.
Right.
Let's, for example, take a look at the definition of the word refugee. The American Heritage Dictionary says refugee is a person who flees usually to another country. Wait! Hold it! Think!
Right?
See, when they give you the language, this is why they've done the education system down, and why the lockdown tape is so fucking vital for you to study. We weren't playing. Everybody thought it was locked education out. Well, when he comes with something else, I'll talk about it. The education system was structured to create a cancer in the minds of the people, to dumb them down genetically, along with the food as vectors. Remember I told you about that, nanogenetic mind control. Now we have some of the most illiterate, most non-thinking, non-abstract thinking people walking around. A person who flees usually to another country for refuge, which means you don't have a country. You're fleeing.
I got a job.
You got a job? Well, you just above broke, brother. Just over broke. That's what it means. Just over broke. Because you're a slave if you got a job. If you don't got a mission, you're a slave.
Thank you.
I suggest everybody find their mission impossible.
Right? Break it down, brother.
See? Flees to another country for refuge, especially from invasion. Wait! A refugee is one who flees usually to another country for refuge, especially from invasion. 18 days ago, they invaded the Gulf Coast and killed 50,000 black people. Now I know that Shabazz is going to come with the show enough effects. He's going to give it to you, and it's going to be raw. But again, if you don't steel yourself and become battle-hardened, because, I mean, when we were looking at that,
right? Tears.
broke me down, breaking me down now. But you know what? It may be right. It made me start writing and start cleaning up my tools.
Right. Getting ready.
The word refugee comes from the noun refuge, which means protection or shelter, as from danger or hardship, a haven, something to which one may turn for help, relief, or escape. Now, the 1951 UN Refugee Convention describes a refugee as someone who has fled across an international border to escape violence or persecution. Now you see, those words are very pertinent. National, international. So again, why would the media and the talking head meat puppets of government identify immediately these American victims of an environmental disaster as refugees? Surely the above definition would be as clear to them as it is to us. Nearly everyone in government is a goddamn lawyer.
Right.
So they would know what the word meant. Are we being told by our media status to flee to another country for protection from danger and hardship in our own quote homeland? All of what transpired in New Orleans simply means that we don't attack and kill you outright in your Temple Village anymore. We just create an environmental eviction. We will create environmental evictions. I am mentioning all of this to segue to this extremely odd, ominous, and suspicious point. Brother Maharu made an extremely pertinent observation about an organization called the ICRC, the International Coalition or something of the Red Cross. Now it's interesting because when you look up this ICRC, it is nowhere to be found as regulated by any country or nation on the planet. And as soon as things went down, the ICRC was in there handing out debit cards.
Right.
Tracking devices.
Right. That's right.
For the capital. It's interesting that if you understand law and you study law carefully, you will understand how words are used to describe reality. The TV said that the Red Cross, or the International Red Cross, was there registering people. The word register, go into Black's Law, Volume 3, 4, 5, or 6, and look up the word register, and you will find that registration is the proclamation of ownership. Whoever registers with whatever they register to, they are owned by that. Are we coming through?
Yes.
All right.
Check it. Shock. See. Oh, well, we were watching the horror because they want us to watch the horror. They want black people to get pissed off and not think.
Right.
That's why metaphysical thinking and strategy, how this beast is working, there's going to be a lot of us dying. But the war ain't going to be over.
Right.
He knows the war is to the end.
Tell it.
To the last man. Him.
Yes.
He knows this. That's why he builds this humongous monsters. I'm talking monstrous some of the most sophisticated technology you ever want to think about. Just to fuck with you.
Yes.
Because he can't do it any other way.
All right.
Progress is the virus that pushes him. Let me say that again. He is infected with a virus, and I don't believe in viruses, but in his case, I'm going to use this scenario. He is postulated. He is cancerous. He is infected with a psycho-spiritual disease called progress. He needs that disease. His white skin is leprosy. He has an automatic disease. So, what do you look at that? How do you look at this shit? Progress drives him, because if he doesn't progress from point A to B in his technological mindset, he's dead. So now, what have we done? We joined him. Niggas are just going, oh, look at that. That's interesting. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say the reason why those niggas got washed out was because Jesus Christ knew. But that was a deal of sin and iniquity. I want to beat that motherfucker with a club on live TV. And play what he said constantly while I'm kicking his ass.
Sounds good to me.
So it's interesting to note here that a new system of human identification to facilitate electronic sale transactions was already developed to meet such a situation as in New Orleans. The new system takes the form of an indelible tattooing process, both visible ink and invisible ink. The choice of invisible ink will be manufactured by a company called Sirchie, S-I-R-C-H-I-E, Sirchie Fingerprint Laboratories in Youngsville, North Carolina. This tattoo can be placed on any easily accessible place, but the forearm, the back of the hand, and even the back of the neck is preferable because it is read by a special scanner. For people of darker hues, a non-toxic activated resin will be put into the ink for scanners to recognize. This tattoo stores all of the wearer's vital statistics, driver's license, credits, bank accounts, birth certificate, fingerprints, etc. Sources state that the system may be a primary consideration for the so-called refugees and any other people victimized by such disasters. The total tattoo system is described under U.S. Patent Number 5,878,155. It was filed March 2nd, 1999. The inventor's name is Thomas Eder, and he's of Houston, Texas. Application number 709471, filed September 5th, 1996. Now, there is where your knowledge, this is where your knowledge of history comes into play. For if you don't know your history, you are destined to repeat it.
Right.
The Nazis, that is, the very parents of those who control the centralized American government today, tattooed the forearms of their Jewish and other related prisoners of war during World War II. During World War II. During World War II.
Right.
Here's World War III. If you go to www.ifoundfreedom.com/slave.html, you will find a sample of the tattoo process if it's still there.
Right.
Because they might have yanked it
Yes.
now that the war is actually being implemented. There's my brother Heru, the one I just spoke about, to give him some props in the back. Again, the use of the word refugee to describe perceived Americans on American soil is a disturbingly vivid telling point, a frightening revelation to black people, a serious wake-up call of what is yet to come. Of course, someone may have let the snake out of the bag, so the media spin machine has to clean it up with select talking heads, including the president. Bush came out and quickly said, well, the people we're talking about are not refugees, they're Americans. With the president reconstructing and restructuring the perceptual landscape, other news sources and organizations began to follow suit. The Boston Globe, Miami Herald, and the Washington Post were among them. CNN quickly advised its producers to use the words evacuee. The Times used survivors and the displaced. But you must remember that the media is the propaganda arm of the elite. All news broadcasts are screened first by the government agents who pose as executives and editors to filter and censor all your news. Thus, the word refugee by CNN, Associated Press, The Times, and the big three networks were synchronized propaganda. The racist press is about molding opinions and manufacturing consent. So the parasitic elite had to create the atmosphere by manufacturing the public's perception. Pictures with commentary that describe looters and refugees evoke disdain, disgust, anger, and resentment rather than empathy, understanding, and support. Thus, with no real property, no real money, listen carefully, no real property, and no real money, no sovereignty, no ownership, the parasitic elite engineered a mass eviction in full view of America, showing the unsuspecting people what they are to expect with the signing of the new Bankruptcy Act come October 15th. You see, cool?
No, everything good.
You see, we the sheeple, that is, we the corporate slaves, the assets of America, commonly known as citizens, are no longer considered viable risks upon which to structure the new cashless global economy. The national debt is no longer an issue. Refinancing, restructuring, and discharging, it's all a moot point now. The only step under consideration by the international bankers today is liquidation. Everything goes. Your bank account, your house, your land, your gold, your precious metals, and now your Congress has promised the international bankers all of your labor, even your DNA, and your children's blood DNA. In fact, since what we know as the United States of America will never exist again as 50 states in 10 to 15 years or less, to be replaced by the NSA, or the New States of America, a 9-area system of regional enclaves. It is unique and it's quite appropriate in their eyes to call the victims of the covert war refugees, because technically the U.S. is not a country. So technically, you corporate citizens who call yourselves U.S. citizens are refugees. And since the terms black, African American, Negro, nigger, African American are all nomenclatures describing nationless, non-existing cattle, technically blacks, African Americans, Negroes, niggers, soul brothers, soul sisters, we're all refugees, fleeing to God knows where from invasion, oppression, and persecution. I guess New Orleans is a kind of sad and sick parody of Bob Marley's Exodus. Brothers and sisters, I took the extra time on this issue of indigenous status sovereignty and historical self-knowledge, because unless you at least know something about how the game is being played and learn to establish and assert your true identity, your true native self, your legitimate and lawful status as the true children of indigenous peoples, archetypal and native to this earth's soil, spiritually birthmarked by time and nature with the essence of the land woven into your genetics, we are all eventually doomed to end up in one or more of the 600 concentration camps already prepared and waiting for us. You, brothers and sisters, are genetically tied to the land. How is that possible? Because right now, they can take the DNA from your body and go back to Africa, to the fossils, and find your DNA in the fossils. They can find your DNA in the indigenous plant life. They can find the indigenous plant life's DNA in your DNA. That's what makes you indigenous to the land. The cracker can't do that in Africa. They don't know where his genetics come from. That's why he keeps digging all over the fucking planet. Who am I? And this is why I urge you to pool your monies together. And I make an impassioned plea here, because I'm not doing this for me. I'm going to be all right, dead or otherwise. Alive, I'm going to haunt them from underground. Dead, I'm going to haunt them in their bed. But I'm making an impassioned plea to all of you to pool your monies together and sign up for Sister Myra L's 13-week spiritual sovereignty class, because you can bet your life that it is quickly becoming too late. When? You can go to Ashera, A-S-H-E-R-A, Ashera @earthlink.net. Or you can call 718-712-0039. One more time. 718-712-0039. Now, don't bother us, the sister. And for those brothers and sisters who are out there that's going to get this across the nation, the tapes and the CDs will be available. Now, if I may, I would like to switch channels to the events of the last 20 days. Right. And in the remaining time, review and deconstruct the crime scene. To study the physical and metaphysical forensics of this calculated exercise in mass murder. Much is being said across the internet and in the corporate media, and the information is arriving at such speed and in such copious amounts that it is extremely difficult to piece them together and decipher. This is where your dark matter filter must operate to distill the truth from the hype. Let me say that again. This is where your dark matter filter must be active, which means you got to be doing the right thing by your body. Nigga eating and drinking all kind of shit. Can't wake up when time's right. Bomb go off right next to their head. They just turn over and scratch their ass. You better learn what to eat. You better learn how to be sharp and get maybe 3 hours of sleep. And be just up and sharp. And the only way you can do that is if you don't have no pork swimming around in your butt. Don't have no trick in the soul going up your throat. We're going to let you know that a cracker has put that shit together. Because you know something? Some of them white boys know what time it is. See, they're looking at us and they know that a nigger ain't a black man or a woman. A nigger is a condition. A nigger is his other condition. And if you don't get your condition correct, you're a nigger. If you ain't thinking about doing better, you're a nigger. If you're thinking about parasiting your community, leeching the lifeblood from your community, selling drugs, saying it's all right, because I got to survive, you're a fucking parasite. If you don't know who to turn your fucking gun on, then you're a waste of space. You better find out who your enemy is. And I'm talking to you young brothers and sisters, the soldiers out there, battle-hardened by the streets. See, when the real motherfucking enemy comes down, yeah, you ain't gonna flex. Most of y'all gonna bitch up and run. You better find your fucking heart. Because killing your brothers and your sisters, that ain't shit. That's part of the plan. Kill off all the young soldiers. Make them sell drugs. Make them think the little 4-square block area is territory.
Right.
That's bullshit. That's little thinking. That's how they got you locked down. So first, we can just about eliminate or filter out all news. Listen carefully. We can filter out all news that attempts to convince us that water broke the levees. And we're going to get a little deeper into that. Blow it up. We can forget the ridiculous numbers being dribbled out by a retarded and lying media. Operation Katrina caused the mass killing of over 50,000 people. And we can completely dismiss, with prejudice and disdain, the looting for looting's sake. Looting for looting's sake. Propaganda. A man named Les Evanchik, an independent member of the Green Party who lives in the French Quarter, in a 3-story walk-up, reported that 90 to 99% of the so-called looters were simply grabbing water, diapers, and medicinals because the federal government and state officials refused to give them their basic needs.
Right.
He stated, quote, "It's only because of the looters that the non-looters, that is, the old people, the sick people, and the little children were able to survive."
Right.
Let me tell you now.
All right, break it down.
You tell that motherfucker about looting. Because the reason why the old people were there, that you could still take pictures of them, the reason why they still had children alive was because some of them young brothers and sisters were out there strategically taking what was necessary. Fuck the lying media.
Right.
Looters. Biggest fucking looter on the planet was this cracker when he came out of Europe.
Right.
They flushed the toilets in Europe and he came up here.
Tell it.
Only because of the looters that the babies of the old survived.
That's right.
You should say, God bless the looters.
Right.
That should be a t-shirt, brother.
That's true.
They were surviving, though.
That's right. That's what they want to call it? They can call it that. Now, as a witness, he said that those people who stole televisions and large non-emergency items were selling them to whites. Having himself seen firsthand several of these transactions so that they could get enough money together to leave the damn area and take their families. Now, I want everyone to think about the following, because it will happen here.
That's true. All right.
Let me say that to you again. It's gonna happen here.
That's right.
Niggas are complacent. They think they can go into church, and Jesus gonna let the church just elevate off the air and shit. Them motherfuckers is waiting for somebody on the cloud to take them out of here. God damn, ain't they? Wait yet?
No.
See, it's you motherfucking Christians that be fucking it up for us. You see, it was you goddamn Christians who got your Christian buses and booked the fuck out of there and left your people.
That's right.
Christian.
That's right.
Let me say that again. Maggot motherfuckers. Bitch-ass priests and ministers, all you fuckers. Didn't see nary one of you motherfuckers there until I saw T.D. Snake with his head up Bush's ass.
Right?
Pay attention,
Hear ya.
because it will happen here.
Right.
The people were told to leave. But all of the bus terminals were shut down. Closed up the night before the announcement was made.
Right.
The bus drivers and all personnel had packed up and left. And the cracker keeps saying, well, you were told to leave. Oh, it's insidious. It gets worse. Most of the people from the poor neighborhood had too many in their families to afford all the tickets anyway. Many became stranded, while others refused to leave their homes, their pets.
Right?
Tourists in the Monteleone Hotel collectively put together $25,000 to get 10 buses. The buses were sent back by the military, confiscated, and would not let them leave. Instead, they ordered them into the convention center. But then, under the cover of darkness, these same tourists were smuggled out by special forces who snuck into the convention center and helicoptered them to Texas. A man named Michael Cohen of Brooklyn, New York, did a simple breakdown of the cost to save the lives of the 100,000 people who were left there to die. Listen carefully. 100,000 people would require 3,000 buses, less buses that drove up to D.C. for a rally like the Million Man March, the Millions More March, the Feminist March. There are 10,000 buses, but just 3,000 buses would have gotten those people out. Even if each bus cost $2,500 each, which would have been the rip-off price, you know, the state would be in hock for $7.5 million to transport all who had no means of escape. We must also consider the report of rapes and murder of sisters by fucked up psychotic niggas. Now, I don't know. Did they let the asylum out?
Probably.
Well, that's one. Did they let the jailhouse out? No.
No, they didn't.
They drowned.
That's right. Thank you.
So who is this? Is this some more COINTELPRO shit to make me believe they were Reverend Murray? No. Somebody said that they found the motherfucker that did the work of the murder and they killed his ass. The people did. We can completely dismiss with prejudice and disdain the story of rescue helicopters being fired upon by the citizens. So I'm going to show it wasn't them. Agent provocateurs seated amongst us. Israeli Mossad.
Break it down. Yeah.
See, we gonna get deep. This was a covert act. Truth is that the Federal Aviation Administration, listen carefully, reported that they monitored no transmissions of pilots being fired upon in the vicinity of the flood, and they were monitoring all transmissions from the earliest stages of the storm. This was an obvious ploy again by FEMA to cover something that FEMA did not want witnesses to. In fact, former NSA operative Wayne Masden and assorted ham radio operators reported that on September the 2nd, communications in and around New Orleans were being purposely jammed, even cut completely by covert operatives of the shadow government. The same shadow government posse that orchestrated Oklahoma 9/11, and here again around the anniversary of 9/11, the Katrina Death March, Operation Death March, which is what I named this.
Right.
The initial report said that the jamming signals were highly sophisticated and very strong, and had a severely adverse impact on response time for emergency calls, disaster recovery, and news media communication. The jamming even paralyzed police frequencies in the Jefferson Parish, according to an Australian news report. In fact, the president of Jefferson Parish, Aaron Broussard, told Meet the Press on September 4th that FEMA had cut his parish's emergency communication levies that day, and that he commissioned his sheriff to restore the severed lines and posted armed deputies with guns ordered to shoot any fucking FEMA come up there to try to disconnect. That's what I'm talking about. If the parish can do it, see, that's posse comitatus. No military, no U.S. military personnel is to be used against United States citizens. But no, they got around it. You're going to find out. Blackwater. See? I'm going to know. Same motherfuckers they strung up on the Fallujah Bridge.
Yeah.
You were getting clues from overseas on what to do.
Bring them up.
His exact words were, yesterday, FEMA comes in and cuts all of our emergency communication lines. They cut them without notice. Our sheriff, Harry Lee, goes back in. He reconnects the line. He posts armed guards on our line and says, no one is getting near these lines. Now listen carefully, beloved, because I'm going to get deeper. The purposeful jamming of radio and other communications such as TV signals is a military tactic called info blockade or technology blockade. This is part of the doctrine of information warfare conducted by the Pentagon, one of psychological operations called PSYOP, methods used by the SOC or Special Operations Command. It's tactics used by our forces in Iraq and was used by the Navy in the botched coup attempt against the Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez in April of 2002. U.S. warships off the Venezuelan coast jammed diplomatic, military, emergency service, police, and even the damn taxi cabs in all of the large cities of in Venezuela. The military also calls these tactics 00 or OOTW, or operations other than war. Their purpose is to A, information, influence, and manipulation, B, perception management, and C, PSYOPs. In other words, the ability to censor and put out propaganda on the networks like CNN, BBC, CBS, PBS, etc., and all of the CompuServes and Prodigy. In fact, ham radio operators who were utilized by the federal government during 9/11 were totally surprised when they were not allowed or not asked to join in the rescue, and in some cases not allowed to participate at all in any form of communication linkage, because the ham radio operators are the ones that get in when everything goes down. Misinformation agents were bombing the web, circulating the lie that the jamming was caused by solar flares. But bona fide ham radio operators stated quite emphatically that the flares were not the source of the interference. Further reports revealed that the jamming of New Orleans communications may have been emanating from a pirate radio station somewhere in the Caribbean. The noise was said to be continuous, and it was jamming even emergency high frequencies in the New Orleans area. But check this out. The jamming emitters were said to have been IF, or intermediate frequency jammers, that was operating southwest of New Orleans on board a U.S. Navy stealth ship. Now, they got stealth in the air, but did you know that they got stealth on the what? Oh, no, huh? Stealth boats can't be picked up on the radar. Look like the stealth plane with that weird shape. They found out that the vectors of radar follow a pattern, and the rounder it is, the more easily it's picked up.
Right angle.
They have it at what right angle? Who was looking at? Somebody's reading my mind. Who was looking at Tetragrammaton 2? When I talked about the Pythagorean triangle, that's how your stealth is made. And the Pythagorean triangle is Osiris, Horus, Isis. They're flying the technology of the gods. If you look at the new stealth ship and go to the Library of Alexandria, or to go to some of the ancient hieroglyphics, you will see that ship. Let me say that again. You will see on the walls a picture of a fighter jet, a picture of a helicopter, and a picture of a stealth ship.
Setting one, Abydos.
Setting one, Abydos.
Yep.
The jamming signal was cross-spectrum and interfaced with super-hybridyne receivers components, including the emergency radio being used in the New Orleans efforts. The jamming frequencies, I have them, are 70 OOMHz, ohms in hertz, 45, 10.245 megahertz, 10.240 megahertz, 11.340 megahertz, 233 megahertz, and 455, which is the intermediate frequency jammer. Now the 10.245 down to the 11.340, for all you people who are on the ham, is fixed mobile and aeronautical mobile. These are the frequencies that they were using and were being jammed, or using to jam the communications. A former member of the Department of Defense says that the U.S. Army uses a portable jammer known as Warlock in Iraq, and may very well have been using it in New Orleans. In the military publication called Army Times, the military states that its forces were engaged in combat. Let me say that again. In the military newspaper, they reported that their forces were engaged in combat in New Orleans. That, wait now, Delta Force was also dropped into the theater as provocateurs to lay down sniper fire on boats evacuating patients from a hospital, or setting fires and sniping at the firefighters. The mission of New Orleans was to completely destroy it, because 7 to 8 days later, the motherfuckers met about how to rebuild it. They said, waste it. Nothing is redeemable, including the people. This substantiates the eyewitness accounts of black masked, military-clad individuals setting fires to prime real estate areas and sniping at firefighters to make sure it burnt down. In fact, the biggest fires burning were right on the river itself. Outright executions. The killing of a 16-year-old boy shot by troops. A man shot dead running towards troops, attempting to get help for a woman being raped. Killed before he got to the van. The chaos is in full swing. But at this point, I'd like to shift gears for a moment and interject something interesting, but very ominous, because the black community will be seriously affected by this individual in the near future. Let me see if I can find his ass. Okay, here's where we get technological slowdown. Don't turn it on yet, because I'm not good with this. I'm going to take my time with this. Y'all have mercy on the funky junkie, man. All right. Right? Can somebody take out that light so we can...
Nah, that light can't come out. Everything is gonna be good. You're gonna see it.
So I do this. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Bring it back. Bring it back over now. Bring it back over.
All right. It says, welcome
There you go.
to wherever the fuck.
Burning bush. Some shit. Oh, okay.
The Bush Business District. Brothers and sisters,
Crystal clear.
this was before they died.
Right?
This was a post of them dying. Left. The people that they had that came to take this picture, before they took the picture, they wanted to take the picture to take it to the National Guard to show them the circumstances. They wrapped them up, put the, covers on them, or took it off them so they could see this man's foot, diabetic, bleeding to death. So I began it with this to show you exactly what it is they are thinking of us like. We are not human. Do not even think about the fact that you have feelings that you can convey to them. These are not people who are trained to think about your feelings.
Right?
Their feelings have been trained out of them. Brothers and sisters, this is what the black neighborhoods look like. Now, this was just the hurricane winds. We are not talking about the 9th Ward, where hardly any pictures have been taken. Hopefully, Brother Shabazz has those pictures, because that's where most of the carnage took place. And I'll tell you about that as we go along. I'm going to just give you an idea of exactly what it is that happened. Look at the bottom. The blue hue that you see over this is the water. That is an aerial shot of the devastation. And when you find out how the devastation was taken, these are rooftops, people. Just imagine you having to stand on this roof.
Right?
And that's how deep the water is. The water receded in the 9th Ward. Just enough for them to go in to establish who was in there. And when you find out what they found in the 9th Ward, it's going to sicken you.
Brother Phil.
Yes.
Malik Zulu Shabazz gave, what's his name from Gil Noble? He gave Gil Noble 20 hours of footage, raw footage.
Good.
So hopefully tomorrow they're going to be showing it on Like It Is.
Fantastic.
If the white man allowed them.
Well, you know, you only got a half hour.
Yeah.
So they got to really seriously push it now.
No. It went back to an hour.
They put it back to an hour?
Yeah. And not only that, they moved him out of the, he's in an office space now.
Really?
Yeah, because they went down there and they interviewed him, so he's like in a room, not in a big studio like he used to be.
Oh, they done stuck him in the
So Malik is going to come and talk about all that.
Okay, beautiful. Now, all you crying niggas who are so unhappy, because niggas are going to cry because it's Burger King. I just want you to check the devastation. This is the front door.
Right?
Look at the
Stop sign is about that high. Huh? This is ocean water.
Right?
Coming in.
Don't forget about the alligators, man.
Oh, wait, we're going to get to that. motherfucker need help. And then they said, get out? I want you to look at what they did, not nature.
Right.
Oh, baby.
That's right.
And the water you see at the bottom is still rushing in.
Right, it's moving, yeah.
It's moving. And there are people who are on top of those houses, still people that they can't find. This is a helicopter shot of a school. Look at what happened to the building. It's moved. That wasn't no storm, it was a weapon. This is what it looks like. There is no electricity. There is no running water. There is nothing except stone and debris. And I know that nigga wasn't trying to make a phone call. These are truck beds.
Right.
Look like Tonka toys. Imagine the amount of force it took to turn that into what it is there. Look. They said, get out. Just imagine downtown Manhattan. Because you're a damn island.
Right.
Look at this. This got to be in the better part of the neighborhood.
French Quarter?
Probably. But remember, they got away. And I'll tell you why. Check out the whole. This is like Queens. Look at it. The whole damn thing is in the water.
Little island.
Little islands of sanctuary. How long could you stay up in there?
Right.
And not have no food? Look at these young boys. And they're at their homes. This is the kind of situation that the soldiers were meeting. Desperate people. Our people. That in the air is the back of the truck. That's a ton in the air. Damn near.
Dang.
It's in the air.
Right.
Phil,
Yo.
you can use the beamer too, you know.
Yeah.
The red light.
Yeah. This is self-evident.
Yeah.
Look at this neighborhood. That's a neighborhood. It used to be. They said take buses out.
Right. Those are school buses.
Look at the amount of school buses that could have been taking people out. Huh? What happened?
The people left.
They left. Now,
Right.
everybody should be giving this young brother a hand.
That's bad power right there.
Hey, young boy, 21 years said, fuck this. Family, get on.
Right.
And the motherfuckers wanted to arrest him.
I know. That's the melanin. That's what I'm talking about. Start getting that first eye.
Right.
Y'all better consciousness to working. This shit goes like jazz. Don't be bullshit. That boy is determined. Look at him. Let's get the fuck off. Let's go.
Eyes on the prize.
That's the end of that one.
That's the end of this one?
Yeah.
One more time. Oh, okay. I'm learning this.
Right.
So y'all, have mercy. I gotta get my glasses back on.
Doing all right, brother.
I'm doing all right?
Doing all right.
Yes, sir.
I'm back again, and the brother who hooked it up for me, I want you to know, his material is here. This brother is one of the top people. Troubleshoot from the phone, from everywhere. I got him hooked up with people over in Atlanta, England. Brother's name is Leon. And Sister Amani will tell you how invaluable this young brother is. And I would suggest you pick this up because as far as your communication, when you're dealing with your computer, this is the brother to deal with. He's right here and he is reasonable. Now, I want to show you something, brothers and sisters. I want to show you something. I'm learning this. I think I'm getting this down now. Look, I'm doing it, y'all. Goddamn hard. Oh, shit. I got to go to the document. Oh, yeah, go to the document. See, I'm learning it. See that? I'm not as proficient and as chilled. What am I doing? Okay, then I go to... Now, then I go to what?
You click on any of those. Any of those that's lined up.
Any of those? Oh, okay.
History.
Right here, right here. All right, I want you to see something. All right? I want you to see something, y'all brothers. I want you to check this because right when the shit was happening,
China.
right when we were in the flood, China's shit was going to pieces too. Provinces were being washed out by enormous floods. But guess what? They were on it. These motherfuckers wasn't running away.
Right.
They were running to it. Huh? Now what was the difference? Here's the difference. That's a soldier.
Break it down.
Doing his fucking duty.
Right. Protecting the people.
Protecting the people. Not firing on them.
Right.
I ain't no lover of no fucking China. That's humanity.
Right.
I ain't trying to big up no motherfucker with, in Chinese red.
Right.
Bullshit. I want to show the example of when you love yourself.
Right.
And your people. And your children.
Right.
Look at that little Buddha face.
Right.
And this dude is determined. He's not holding the baby. What's he doing? He's holding the fucking umbrella.
Right.
Protecting his future.
That's right.
God damn it.
Right.
Look at that. They're there doing their job.
Right.
Standing around, fucking FEMA standing around, preventing water, preventing food, preventing trucks,
Right.
preventing helicopters by shooting at them. Look at this boy. Another military. You know he's military, look.
Right.
They're working their asses off to save lives. Barely had a helicopter coming over for those people. Look at that, they taking their children out.
But Phil, one thing that's important. Look who's doing it. Look who's protecting them.
But see,
The men.
you got to remember, this society still has a testicle.
Okay.
Look at these motherfuckers. He did it. When did you ever see one of them motherfucking soldiers in that water yet?
No.
Not one.
Not one.
This dude is in there putting a chain together, getting people out. They're a human chain.
Right.
So that the people can hold on to them as they're walking out. Look at this. Going in, coming out, pulling shit, working hard,
Right.
carrying the elders. I'm talking about the military. I ain't talking about the brothers and sister heroes that were out there doing the same thing. I'm showing the difference.
Also in carrying no guns.
Dig it. No weapons. Ain't nobody running there with no weapons. Carrying the elderly.
Not in the shopping cart on his back.
On his back. Not carrying on no shopping cart. Exactly.
Right.
But check it out now.
Food.
Flushing, bringing down the bags to stop the river.
Right.
Look at that. Look at that. Got all their people ready for the refugees. Super amount of trucks to get them out. Look at the truck from here, going back miles.
Yeah.
Miles. And look at that. Exhausted. Standing there, holding back the tide. And now that's what they did. The work was so heavy.
Right.
Look at them. You see any of these American motherfuckers doing this?
No.
And any of you motherfucking COINTELPRO niggas that's in here?
That's right. We see you.
We see you. Well, he's a communist. But he like